So technology has basically become ubiquitous for us. And we've got connectivity, for most people who can afford it, we've got connectivity from so many different places. And so much of the history of education is about space and control of content, right? So if you look at the creation of the University of Bologna, the creation of the University of Paris, those were control activities. You know, the University of Paris in the 12th century, they created it because the church wanted to control the content that was being taught and how they were going to teach, the professors were teaching Christianity at that time. They wanted to be able to bring them into one spot so they could make sure what they were doing. And so much of our university has been about that, right? Here's this building, come to this building. When you come to this building, you will get access to information. That's 800 years of that, 900 years of that. And suddenly, you can get it from anywhere. Suddenly, most of our students have technologies that they can access any information from most places. Now, it doesn't mean they're accessing knowledge. They're not necessarily having a transformative experience every time they run into information, right? But they have access to it. So the question becomes, I would say, from a quality perspective, how do we make it so, one, we make the best use of that possible, and two, that their experience doing that is as good as it can be. And I think it's about changing the way that we look about knowledge making, right? Knowledge making is something that was a very controlled activity before. And it's something that took a long time, and it's something that, if you look at the preparation of an academic paper for a student, you know, a good student, which I was not, but a good student, might be a 2-month process where they start the research, where they start figuring out what a topic's going to be, and they work their way through, and they go to a library, and they go and find the content they want, and they pull it together. It becomes very easy as a faculty member to assess the quality of the process of essay writing and also the quality of the product, because we're coming from a society where it was okay for a product to take 2 months. If you're going into the workforce now and you're taking 2 months to make a product, you're going to get looked at strangely by your employer. We're just not in that world anymore. The expectation is that people in the workforce are going to work quicker. And I would say that the concept of quality from a societal perspective is shifting to more efficient and less perfect, right? And I think that's because we've moved from paper to digital. If you're going to print something on paper, then the concept of quality is, it understands that whatever you print can't be changed. So you better get it right the first time, because if you're going to print 100,000 copies of it, you're never going to get it back. There's going to be 100,000 errors. So our conceptions of quality are tied to the technology of paper. But with ubiquitous technology, with the access and connectivity, and the editability that comes along with that, I think that we need to move towards the ability to do these things quicker and do them in ways that are not necessarily permanent. So I would far rather see a design process for a course that allows students to iterate their work. And I don't mean iterate in the sense that, you know, I start an essay with a topic sentence and then I have 5 topic sentences and and that sort of process writing approach. That's not the kind of iteration I mean. I mean final product, final product, final product, that's taken from the same piece, where you're constantly iterating your own work. And I can see that as a vision for quality work in a digital context in a way that it doesn't make sense in a paper context. And I think we need to understand what the expectations are for people societally now. The expectation for someone from a social perspective is not to sit down and write a reply letter to their friend that they may sit down and spend an hour and a half writing out a letter reply to somebody that's going to go in the mail and send off. They're writing a 5-second comment on Facebook, right? And that decision making, that ability to be pro-social, which I think is really important. Pro-sociality 25 years ago was about the amount of effort and time you put into it. Pro-sociality now is how quickly you can not make a bad decision about what you're going to say about something. And I think that's true for preparing people for their society, and it's true for preparing people for the workforce. And I mean, I don't think that universities are workforce builders, but at some point our conception of quality has to be impacted by the reality of our society. And right now, as our students participate in their own democracy, for instance. I would like them to be able to make quick decisions about the authenticity or the reliability of content. I'd like them to be able to make quick decisions about the pro-sociality of the work that they're doing. I'd like to be able to make quick decisions about places where they want to put their effort and time and the things they want to support. And those are things that require a different teaching approach. And I think those are where we need to start looking at quality in the 21st century. I'm not suggesting we throw away, 2,500 years of Western society, but 25 years ago, 15 years ago maybe, a quality piece of work, it was okay for it to take a long time. It was something we all strove towards. It's just not true anymore. And I think that the ubiquity of content and of access totally changed the conception of quality in our education system, or should at least.